Hey, this is Jean here, Jean Truelove from Truelove Quilts for You. I am standing in front of my 90% finished medallion sampler quilt that I've been making. If you've been following along, this is Jean's Block Party 2021. I started at the beginning of 2021 working on a sampler quilt that wasn't quite the traditional sampler quilt. Several of you have been following along to this point. I know several of you have actually finished your quilt at the flying geese border that we had made. That was where I got it up, and then I took it off my design board here. The quilt consists of 3 different size blocks, sashing and borders, which are my 24-inch Dresden plate, my 12-inch applique corners, my 4, and then an assortment of 6-inch, 6.5-inch, or 6-inch finished blocks around the perimeter and around my border that I'm now doing. I had taken it, as I said, off my design board after my flying geese border was done, and then I was concentrating yet again on making different blocks, different sampler blocks. I was up to block, I believe, 17. I've actually done block 18, but as I was saying, I fleshed out my quilt with 4 patches and with 9 patches because I didn't fancy just keep making sampler blocks. What I've done since the beginning of the year is pretty much set down different methods and different skill sets for the beginner quilter. This is a beginner's quilt, and I have described in my playlist, Jean's Block Party 2021, every single step of the way to make this quilt. From cutting to measuring, I show an absolute beginner how to make this quilt. I'm very thrilled and pleased with my last 2 block parties, 2018, 2019, 2020 was a bust, that I have received over the last 2 years, photographs of people who have sent me their pictures of their finished quilts and stating that they are seriously just beginners and they've made a quilt from start to finish. So that is the reason I'm actually coming to you today. I'm in a slight bit of a quandary as to, at this point, the dynamics have changed slightly. And I'll tell you what happened. The last 2 years, quilt shows pretty much around the country, around the world, have been canceled due to COVID. Obviously, restrictions. Well, there's a quilt show that my friend Jen, she's coming on Friday. Well, I will see her on Friday. I might not be filming because we want to catch up, but Jen will be back in my sewing room soon. I've gone to quite a few quilt shows with my friend Jen, and the closest one is about 50 minutes from here in Oaks, Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Quilt Extravaganza, wonderful quilt show at the Expo Center, and that's being held September 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. Awesome. I've actually had 4 quilts actually, juried and accepted to be shown at the quilt show in previous years. I've been invited to enter the quilt show again. There's several categories, and one is the modern use of color. And I thought, oh my word, I never for a heartbeat thought I would enter my quilt into a quilt show. I'm just making it as a sampler quilt to show people with my tutorials. But my husband came and he saw the email with me, and he said, oh my goodness, Jean, enter your quilt. You know, this explosion of color, right? Well, I thought, nah, because I actually looked at the registration. Enter your quilt into the quilt show. The deadline is August the 16th. It's August 16th of this year, which is 1 month away. And I thought, well, I'm not done teaching you how to finish this quilt if just there's a few of you who are following along with me going to finish your quilt. And the point that I've gotten to now is I'm going to, on all 4 sides, because it's exactly the same way, I put 9 blocks, again punctuated with 9 patch and 4 patches, but I put my blocks, there's 9 of them, excluding my hearts, with my lovely little hearts in the corner. I put 9 blocks, and I am going to be using a 2-inch sashing. between the one here, 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 and there. I'm going to be using a 2-inch sashing. And then again, what have we done? We have figured out the size of the sashing up here. That's what we've done on all of these quilts, on all of these blocks here. I've just made the blocks and then figured out the sashing. That was the whole purpose of this. Instead of having a rigid pattern, you know, cut your sashing at so-and-so, and I never knew how to do that, so I just cut I just didn't make my blocks and then made my blocks fit. That's to the point we are now. I'm just going to be making my blocks here fit and then attaching. This is a 2.5-inch black striped border. I'll be putting it on the top and the sides. That, my friends, will be my finished quilt top. But then I said to my husband, well, if anybody's following me, they want to know how I'm going to actually sandwich it together and quilt it. Well, this is a large quilt, and I would be showing you, had not been for the quilt show, I would be showing you how I would sandwich it and maneuver it on my tables with support. I've done that. I have quilted my own large quilts. It's not easy. And if you are a beginner, you might be like, oh my word, but I would like to have sort of been there every step of the way. But as my husband said, well, you're not physically. Somebody's going to have to quilt a quilt on their machine anyway. Why can't you just tell them what you would be doing? And what I would be doing is, this is the most important part, I would be using straight stitching, straight line stitching to quilt my quilt. And then this part, I would just go in the ditch right there and just do like a starburst. Just follow my stitching from the blades of my Dresden plate, right out to here. And then I would just stitch in the ditch. I would just stitch around here, maybe even just like do a straight stitch through there, and through there, and through there, and through there. I was not going to show you how to do any kind of free motion quilting, because as a beginner, you don't really, if you got to this point with your lovely, beautiful quilt top, you might not want to mess it up. And if you're a beginner free motion quilter, you could with free motion quilting stitching. So I was going to just show you or explain to you how just to stitch in the ditch, straight stitching, to finish quilting your quilt. Well, my husband says, well, why can't you explain that now? Because he said, I think you, if you're going to enter your quilt, would probably want to do some free motion quilting, some fancier quilting on it. And I said, yeah, I would actually. He said, well, people will understand, Jean. You've given them 95% of the way to do their quilt. You seize this opportunity, you have a deadline, and your subscribers will absolutely understand. So I suppose I'm coming to you now, asking for your forgiveness and your understanding, that I'm going to be pulling this off. I'm going to be finishing up my quilt. I'm going to be, again, using 2-inch sashing, make it fit, and then add my borders. That, you've already done that. And as Ian said, if your subscribers have got to this point, they're advanced beginners, if not intermediate quilters now. They're not beginners. You're not throwing them, you're not, abandoning them at the 10th hour, Jean. He said, and surely people will understand that you have this opportunity to have your quilt in the quilt show, and there's a deadline. So I suppose that's the thing. I'm asking for your understanding and for your forgiveness. That I'm not throwing you under the bus. I've been here every step of the way, but I really do want to take my quilt off and finish it. And to film me doing what I'm going to be doing is difficult. It's as you know, it's just me and my camera, my tripod, setting it all up, and I really do want to concentrate. I won't be abandoning you, forever. I'll be giving you updates, but I think at this point I'm going to end. I have done, and I'll put it up right after this, I have done one more block. And again, I've fleshed this out. I need about 3 more blocks. Here's block number 18. Okay, this is block number 18. It's sort of a light dark, sort of, it ends up in 9 patch, but that's my block 18. Real effective. So I'll just use that. And again, I have a few stars. I think I like this block here. I think that's quite effective. I'm going to do maybe 2 more of them and stick them up, and then my blocks are finished. And as you can see, I did do however many, I think I did like 11 9 patches and several 4 patches. And again, it's just your eye roves about the quilt. Your eye will rove about your quilt. You don't have to make. There are 9, so it's 9 times 4, that's 36. There's 36 blocks. You don't have to make 36 completely different. We would be here, till 2025, me showing you 36 different blocks. So by all means, I've been showing you how you can make multiple of your blocks or your simple 4 patch and finish up your each side, and the top is made identical, exactly. And it's made exactly like this, where we used 1.5 inch sashing or 1 1/4, whatever that was. This will be 2 inch, and then I'll figure out here what size to make it. So I'll be putting my sides on of my blocks, my 2 sides, my top, my bottom, and then I'll be attaching my black and white, and my top will be done. And then I will take this off and I will back it and I will quilt it myself. So I've explained to you how I would be quilting my quilt. And if you want to embark on quilting your large quilt. However, as you know, there are industries now. Long arm quilting is quite a booming industry that has taken the burden of quilting your actual quilt. You send out your top, your finished top, your backing material, and the quilt from these professionals gets loaded onto a machine, sometimes, most often computerized, with a qualified operator who quilts your quilt top beautifully with the pattern that you decide upon, an all over quilting, or you can pay a bit more and have some custom quilting done. I have found, as you know, I have made over 400 quilts in my quilting life now. I have quilted myself on my home domestic sewing machines. I would say I've quilted about 98% of the quilts I have made. I have sent out about 6 quilts recently in the last several years to a long arm quilter that I found in Missouri. Their names are, it's Quilting by David and Karen Hurd. I have done videos on them before and shown you their work. Fabulous, fabulous work. I am very, very satisfied. It is an expense, absolutely. However, I have felt I didn't have the time because I was between filming and doing things with my YouTube channels now, and I had the quilt was too large. I have sent my quilts out and been very, very pleased at the cost and the quick turnover. You can send your quilt out to a long arm and you might be 2, 3, 4, 5 months out before you receive your quilt back. I've been very, very thrilled with Karen and David Hurd and their team who have done my quilts to my satisfaction with my pattern beautifully. I'm very thrilled. I will put his link below. He's in Missouri, the United States of America here. I've been very thrilled. Again, it is an expense. Is it worth it? To a lot of quilters who perhaps don't have the energy, don't have the muscles, don't have the time, don't have the inclination to wrestle such a large quilt. Most quilters will quilt a table runner or a lap quilt or even a twin size quilt. But when you start getting up to a very large quilt, which this will end up being, and even though it's a beginner's quilt, and I could show a beginner how to quilt it, it does take, you need support, you need your tables to your side, you need adequate lighting. It does take doing. I've done it. And I've enjoyed doing it very much. I take much pride in my work that I can start a quilt from the cutting to the binding, and I've done it the whole thing myself. Am I too proud, should I say, that I won't send it out to a long arm quilter? Absolutely not. So that is another option that is available to you. An expense, yes, but maybe well worth it to receive the masterpiece. That if you've got the few people that have followed have done this quilt to that point, you'd be very, very proud. You just put the binding on and oh my word. But I have the opportunity, as I was saying, to have it hanging, hopefully, perhaps, if it's jewelried, if it's judged. I believe the entrance fee is about $23, non-refundable, and to see my quilt at the Quilt Show in Oaks, Pennsylvania. I just wanted to say, I don't know when I'll put this video up, but I'm going to be seeing my friend Jen Jen, is just coming. We're just going to have a chat without filming because we have a lot to catch up on. But she may or may not be able to come with me to the Quilt Show in September because of her work schedule and homeschooling her children and COVID and all of that. However, my husband Maxwell and I will definitely be going. That's to come. I would be giving you the information, but hopefully we'll be there to meet a few of you if you're in the greater Philadelphia area, and maybe hopefully see my finished quilt here with some fancy quilting. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do, but that's what I come to tell you today, that I'm going to seize this opportunity. I am going to finish my quilt as quickly as possible, piecing my top, and then concentrating on exactly how I'm going to quilt it. I have to make the back. I don't even know if I'll pull some fabric from my backing fabric and yeah, and make it. But I will be showing you along the way. I'm just now going to pop up a little video. I'll be wearing the same thing of my block number 18. I'll put it on my design board and just explain exactly what I did to get that block there and what's important in this block. So I'll be doing that now. I have filmed a few other things. I do have a few other things. I have my cathedral windows projects along the way. I have another few projects that people have asked me about that I'm going to continue doing. But yeah, we have we have some company coming at the end of July. Some things happening. So you'll have to bear with me. My patrons also, who've been so wonderful, kind, and supportive in leaving me a tip. I really appreciate it. And as I said, your lovely loyal subscribers will understand, Jean. So just explain it to them that you have this golden opportunity, but you have a deadline. Got to get it done. So again, I appreciate everything. Leave your comments below. Tell me what you think. I know most of you will be happy for me and like go for it. But man, all of a sudden it's like the crunch is on, and I think I want to go for it. I think it's so pretty. All right, folks. Thank you so much for all your support. And again, love from the Trueloves. See ya.